Hey Facebook world, welcome. Here my pal, Warren Williams, for a cheeky little Facebook Live. As always, if you're watching this later on, just click subscribe if it's on YouTube, and share, like it on Facebook or whatever else on Instagram. But we just want to breach the topic today of the blind leading the blind, which seems to come up quite a lot in my consultations, and it's something I know that Warren's dealt with as well. Literally, just this moment, I had a little session with Warren because I always talk about coaches need coaches, and we've got blind spots that we can't see. And it's why I go to people who know what they're doing. In fact, I don't know why I'm cutting you out there, Warren. And so, quite often in my consultations, when I speak to people, they say they've been talking to doctors. I don't know what it is. Yeah, and doctors. A lot of the doctors they talk to have never been through any of the situations that the client has. For example, you go and see, I don't know, gastroenterologists, for example, dealing with gut issues. They've never ever experienced a gut issue themselves. Or you go and see a dermatologist. He's never ever had a skin issue, or she's never had a skin issue themselves. Yet they're giving out advice, and when they don't get the results that they say they will, because they're just giving people medication, for example, dermatologist, for example, your skin's a reflection of your internal health. If you're internally toxic, your skin's going to show that for a lot of people. And so giving people medication, which once again is synthetic, it's toxic, not going to do any favours. When that finally fails, they end up giving people more medication or stronger medication, or then going into things like, want surgery to cut people open, etc. And it becomes the stage of the blind leading the blind. And the analogy I know that Paul's used as well before, Paul Check, one of my mentor, etc., talks about someone. If I was to say, do you want to climb up Mount Everest? You say, well, Ryan, have you ever been up there before? No, just follow me, it'll be okay. You end up both getting tragically lost and maybe dangerous. Dangerously could even die, right? So I think it's always important to go after or work with coaches, people that have been through or at least experienced it and done their own due diligence in these health issues, because otherwise it becomes a very dangerous thing where you could be paying someone a lot of money, thank you very much, paying someone a lot of money to just get you in more trouble and just make your health issues worse. Would you like to add anything to this?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like we are in the experiential stage of life now, so we know that there are so many people that saying, this whole thing about experience and intellectualism being a direct cover-up for fear of a direct experience. And that is so powerful and so key. Intellectualism is a cover-up for fear of a direct experience. So what we're now seeing is there are a lot of people that are intellectually aware of something but not have had the experience of it. And something that I always say is, I don't care how many books you've read in martial arts. If you've never practiced martial arts, if you've never had the experience, you're not a martial artist. So if you're blind, that means you're basically focusing on intellect and ideas and studies as opposed to direct experience. So now we are in the experiential stage. And as far as I'm concerned, if someone's done it, I don't care how much PhDs they have. As you know, PhD kind of means piled higher and deeper, right? So it's like, as Paul Check says, people are learning more and more about less and less until they learn absolutely nothing because they are stuck in the intellect side of things. And if you have not practiced on yourself, and if you don't know it works because you've done the work on yourself, then you can't teach, or you shouldn't teach. But today we're led by those who have never had the experience. We're led by those who have read the books. And all you do is regurgitate what you remember in medical school. And like Mark Twain said, don't let your schooling get in the way of your education. And they don't learn any more past the books that they've read. And that's why most of the leaders, or so-called leaders, aren't leading, because they're not doing it from the front. And when we look at, even back in the day in the 15th century, 16th century, you saw kings that used to get on the horses and ride in front and fight the wars with them. What we have today is politicians that have no backbone, that make decisions behind a desk in private, like Boris Johnson. Okay, so Boris Johnson got the coronavirus. Did you see him with the coronavirus? No one saw him sick. You only saw him when he was recovered. So all we know, he was sat at home watching his PlayStation and pretending he was sick.
And I was going to say these stories, and also as we talk about, you can have two specialists on the same topic who are diametrically opposed, and they've got as many qualifications as the other one, and one of them saying, for example, just for example, diet. One saying that carnivore is the best diet to have, and the other one saying veganism is the best diet to have. And it's like, well, when do you start using your own brain and you start saying, well, when I eat only plants, I don't feel great after a few months, or alternatively, when I eat just meat, I don't feel great. So you need to start understanding it and doing your own, like being your own doctor.
Your own doctor. Our ancestors were like that. They never had somebody that would read a book to them and say, okay, that's the information. They would go and experience. Look at all the animals in the world. Think about it. No animal in the world is reading books on diet, but they know what to eat because they have a personal experience that's gone from generation to generation to generation through their DNA, learning through awareness and experience rather than what they're reading in books. And that's the problem today. People are focusing on so-called experts because they got PhDs and they've read millions of books. It doesn't matter how many books you've read. What matters is the work you've done through the experience that you've done and the results that you've achieved.
Well, the results, that's the one that sometimes when people say to me, well, what qualifications have you got, Ryan? And I say, no, and I say, well, I could give you a long list of degrees I've done and people I've studied with and etc. But these are my qualifications. Send them to my results page.
Exactly.
And so it doesn't matter what, I don't care. Well, if you go, would you rather go and see someone with no qualifications who gets consistent results with whatever people they deal with, or would you rather go and see someone who's got 15 PhDs and is an MD but gets no results?
Think of it like this as well. If you were going to go and see the most spiritual gurus in the world, you'd be going up into Tibet, where they don't have certifications on the wall. They're sat down old masters. If you went up to them and said, where's your degree? They'd be like, degree? My degree is life. This is my degree. So
exactly, yeah.
We have this academia where we now put academia above experience, and that's wrong because our ancestors never did that. And again, we go back 200 years. You wouldn't go to the Tibetan masters and say, can I see your degree before I start working with you? No one did that. This is a new thing because we are stuck in the intellectual mind because we've been taught by intellectuals.
Scientism, exactly. And at the end of the day, this is what I talk about all the time. Results are the only thing that matters.
We've got loads of...
it's just this thing you can clear my energy. They all want to be around me now. Anyway, look, just a quick one because me and Warren could be talking here all day long. So if you're dealing with any sort of health issue, please go and work with someone you resonate with firstly, because that's going to be the best thing to do, and then someone that gets results, and if it's not myself, recommend this guy and a lot of the other guys I speak to, because they're, first of all, I know Warren, for example, knows exactly what he's doing, but his heart's in the right place, and that's a big thing as well. You
got to be heart-centered nowadays. Yeah. You can't be intellectually centered. You can't be money-centered. You have to be heart-centered because we're in the human doing stage now. I mean, human being stage rather than the human doing stage. One other thing I was just going to give as an example of knowing. If me or you were suffering from a heart attack and someone ran up to us to give us CPR or something, you wouldn't stop saying, but you have a certificate. You would just say, help me.
Yeah.
Because you don't care about that. So when it really matters, like you said, it's all about the results, not the certificate on the wall. And the certificate on the wall is only an example of perceived success.
Oh, yeah.
Not true success.
It's also just like you learn how to pass exams. For example, I've got a degree in nutrition. If I use my degree in nutrition on any of my clients, they get really ill. Yeah, so it's sort of, and it's just like, and this is why I try and tell people. I put something up the other day. It was like you need to be prepared to almost unlearn everything you've learned, and that's how. I mean, I scratched my own itch. I was ill. I mean, you went through. I think Paul even told a story. He didn't actually give you a name, but I think he said in one of the lectures you were quite tired after eating certain foods. That was you, wasn't it? Yeah. And so you learn yourself, right? And so it's just something I wanted to put out there today, guys. Just because because it does become the blind leading the blind, and if you're dealing with people, I'm going to see people that haven't ever been through any sort of issue themselves, and they don't get results, then they might have a degree or PhD, but
Lee Brandon, big up yourself. One other thing, actually, just talking about that as well, the true terminology for shaman is someone who has done their own work. Someone who has healed themselves is a true shaman. So if you've healed yourself, that makes you a shaman. It doesn't mean that you've got to be Native American. That's just what it's been related to. But someone who's healed themselves is a shaman. People like Tony Robbins, he healed himself. Paul Chek healed himself. You healed yourself. And that's the true result. You've done the work. Through experience, you can teach back to others. Not what you've read, but through your own personal experience. Everyone is walking the path of their own experience, and you become a master because of your experience.
And what's the other thing as well? Doctor, like the Sanskrit actually the original word comes from teacher, like to teach. Yeah. And I always say to my clients, when was the last time a doctor taught you anything, or did they just say, "Oh, here's a pill for this," or "I'm going to cut you open"? And so, the real teachers today are actually people that are doing things and teaching you how to create health. Yeah, and gone through it, and because at the end of the day, my work and your work, there's certain things that we help people with, but also we want people to become self-sufficient so you can continue to move forwards, and that's the way a society is going to continue to grow. He said big hug. Cool. Anyway, people, I hope that's a good little message for you. As always, enjoy the day. Stay happy, stay healthy. Anything to add, mate?
No, I just enough love for Lee Brandon. He's another one of those masters. I've got to big him up while he's on it right now.
Lee, a lot of love from you. Anyway, people, stay happy, stay healthy. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.